Hey everyone, hope you're well. This is Sup Connect Live. It's Thursday here in beautiful Lake Tahoe, California. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are, or evening, or maybe it's tomorrow morning if you're on the other side of the world. Really excited. Not only is this a traveling buddy, but someone I haven't checked in with in a long time, and to me, the heart of Texas. So today we're going to be talking to and catching up with Linda McCoy, who I just consider one of the biggest ambassadors in the sport, started before I did. And she's in a place where sometimes we don't hear a lot of news, and I feel like I've neglected Texas. Sorry, Texans who are on, but today we're going to do all kinds of catching up and meet an incredible lady. I think it was her brother who posted or described her as a badass mermaid. I think we all love that type of description. That's an awesome one. She started in 2009. So again, I've found some people who've started really early in this, which is fantastic, and a real SUP connector. It's funny, sometimes we try to put our guests on SUP Connect Live in sort of categories, but she's involved in the social side of it and the racing side of it and the cause side of it. We're going to talk a lot about that. Just a great gal and really excited to catch up with her. And I see she's doing really well, following directions. Austin Surf Betty is her Instagram. You should follow her if you happen to be in the Austin area. She's an amazing person and super excited because I haven't seen her in a long time.
Hi.
Hi.
How are
Yay,
you?
it's working. You and I are all over the place, huh?
Yay, yeah.
I'm in an amazing cabin. I don't know if you can see pine trees behind me, but up in Tahoe. Actually, they keep going out. I have to sit over to the side.
Yeah.
So good to see you,
It's
and
great to see you.
thank you for joining me today.
Sure.
I'm excited. Again, you have amazing stories to tell, but also I feel like I haven't caught up with Texas.
I
And of
know.
course, we've had a weird year and a half, 2 years, but still good people and good things happening, and hopefully we'll get out of all of this soon and can move forward. But you started before I did. I think I tried it in 2009, but it didn't start till 10. So
Yeah.
you've been at a long time, and sometimes people think just the coastal places is where it started, but you were in Texas. So
Mm-hmm.
let's start with your SUP story. How in 2009 did you already paddleboard in Austin, Texas?
It's kind of funny because me and my sons used to go to Hawaii every summer and I would see people paddleboarding. And
Hmm.
then I was going to Hawaii that summer and my friend was walking along the Town Lake Trail and said, "Linda, there's a person giving paddleboard lessons. Should we take them?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we signed up, and it ended up being the person who was giving the lessons was Christy Murphy, who was the 2005 World Longboard Champion. And she had
Wow.
her own line of paddle boards, and we took our little like 1.5 mile lesson, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I'm so tired." Like that was so hard, but I was hooked the minute that I took the lesson, and it just so happened that she was traveling cross country with like 9 boards on her car, and their car broke down, their truck broke down, and they were like, "What are we going to do?" And I was like, "Well, you could sell me some of your boards,
Really?
lighten the load a little."
Wow.
So I bought
Wait, was
three.
this within days of your
Yeah,
lesson?
I mean, I was hooked, like hooked. And you couldn't get a paddleboard anywhere. So I was like, I'll buy three. My friend Layla bought two. My other friend bought another one. Like we bought all her boards.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And so I already had my own little sub crew,
Okay.
So that's
Well,
that's how it started.
well, you have a lot of accomplishments in records, but I think that might be the fastest conversion from, nothing to a lot right off the
Yeah,
bat. Oh,
yeah,
that's fantastic. I didn't
yeah.
know that,
It
Linda.
was
So
awesome. Yeah.
fun. So fun. Well, you've been involved in a lot of things. That's why I was just, if you heard the intro, I don't know what category to put you in because you really do so many things. And it's interesting to me that you use meetups. I'm actually going to start in a funny place, but Send Tex Sup or Central Texas Sup. A lot of people lately, especially through the pandemic, meetup seems to be a way these new people who've come into paddling are finding each other and
Uh-huh.
finding things to do. So have you used meet that particular? I'm not a salesperson for meetups, but that seems to be an interesting app that a lot of people use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've used that, I mean, probably since 2009. And it
yeah,
comes and goes, like Facebook sometimes is better and, Meetup is sometimes better. I just use both.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are there other tools too? Yeah, we get frustrated with social media because not everybody can see, and you know, but it also, for me, Facebook has absolutely been the connecting tool. And I believe that's where we met first, was probably on Facebook. I
Right.
feel like
Yeah.
there were some of us who were just so enthusiastic and were so excited to find other people who, got hooked fast and were really into it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm trying to remember when I first met you in person. I mean, you're such an amazing ambassador. You took my two daughters and I, when we were doing one of our cross country drives, we stopped in Austin, Texas. And I don't know, have you been in Austin a long time? It seems like your
Uh,
heart is there.
2002, I think, is
Okay.
when I moved here. I don't know. No, 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 no. It was 1992. Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
been
know
a long time.
time
Yeah.
flies, huh?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And are you a
1992.
Texan your whole life, or did you come from
Yep.
someplace else?
I
Yeah.
was born in San Antonio. I moved to Corpus Christi for 1 year. And then when I got a chance to transfer here with the job, I was like, please. And I'm never leaving. So I love Austin.
I love it. And
Yeah.
you are super involved and have done a lot with that. And some of it overlaps stand up, and some of it's just great stuff. I think that I'm not sure it's exactly in stand up, but we definitely are going to talk about some of the things.
Yeah.
One of them is kind of in the world of environmentalism, keeping Austin beautiful, which is part of, I guess, a larger campaign,
Yeah.
because you won a state award, not just a
Right.
local. Yeah,
Yeah.
for what you do with that.
It's funny. I can say without a doubt that stand-up paddleboarding changed my life. Like,
Mm.
changed the direction of my life. Like, when I first started paddleboarding, the lake was dirty, and I was like, oh my God, somebody needs to clean this up. And then I'm like, well,
Yeah.
who is this magic somebody? That's
Yes.
me. So I started calling around, and that's how I found Keep Austin Beautiful. And they were like, oh, let's organize a cleanup. So I did.
Hmm.
And then they said, why don't you adopt this part on the lake? And so I did. And then they were like, why don't you be a lake leader? So I was. And then they said, why don't you join our board? And so I did. And then could you be president of the board? So I did. And then, I mean, it's just like, rolling and rolling and rolling. And then the person that helped start Keep Austin Beautiful, the former mayor, Lee Cook, we asked him to come present an award, and he was the president of the Austin History Center Association. So I got involved in that.
Okay.
So like, seriously, it's just like weaving. I just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, but that's
So,
neat and wonderful. And,
yeah.
again, such a heart for Austin, Texas, and for people and for whoever comes along. So, you probably have some great history stories, but when I was there, we went on, and if people don't know, please explain the bats and the bridge.
Right. Yeah. So the
That's
Congress Avenue Bridge was like a two-lane highway, and then they added onto it. And when they added onto it, it created these little like crevices underneath, which are perfect for bats. So what are the largest Mexican free-tail bat colony in the United States now lives under our bridge. And so you can paddle out there at dusk, and millions of bats fly out, and it's so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it already was a big, tourist attraction
Hmm.
before paddleboarding came along. But the view is so much better from being down on the water. But there's
It
people
is.
standing around like up on the bridge almost
Right.
every evening, or is that just only seasonal or?
It's from, I think, like March to October. So they fly home to Mexico. The mamas and the babies stay in the bridge, and then the males fly to Mexico, and then they come back.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Oh, cool. See,
I
learn
hope I'm getting
something.
that right. Yeah.
Some of them leave, some of them stay. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's definitely something you want to see. And
Yeah.
Austin, is it Lady Bird Lake?
Right.
That's kind
Hmm.
of part of a river system, but right.
It's
Um,
actually the Colorado River, but it's dammed up on either end, so now it's a lake. Yeah. It used to be
Very
called
cool.
Town Lake, and then after Lady Bird passed away, they named it after her.
Named it after her. But that's a wonderful section. I'm surprised, as much as I love, I'm up here in Tahoe and the outdoors, it's fun. One of the days paddling, we did the shore and looked at houses, but I love city paddles. I've actually really learned to love getting on the water and the perspective of looking back at buildings you might know from the other side.
Yeah.
Um, it's really, really fun. And I think
Yeah.
that's a special thing in Austin to be able
Yeah.
to do that.
And it was, one of my favorite things. is going by downtown because there's like neon, and one of the coolest like surprises that happened was we were paddling on the east side and we were coming back through downtown like right at the beginning of the pandemic, and all of the lights on in downtown were like hearts or like we've got
Oh,
this, and it was just
cool.
so cool. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea that was going to happen, and I saw one and then I saw another one and I was like, oh my god, look at these messages of hope. It's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you through the last couple of years able to keep paddling?
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah.
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 Can't
And I
stop me.
think, right. There were some hurdles occasionally, but at least we
Yeah.
have this amazing activity that, is spaced out and all the other things that fit
Right.
outdoors.
Yeah.
Did you see a lot more boards and inflatables and
Oh
people on
my
the water like everybody?
gosh.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, when I first paddleboarded, there people were like, "What is that? What is that? What are you doing?" And now it's just like wall to wall. Yeah. And
Yeah.
inflatables went through the roof, it
Yep.
seems like.
Yeah. Well, I think, stores were closed at the very beginning, and being kind of, ooh, are we supposed to go out? Shopping was a questionable thing, or maybe shops
Yeah.
weren't open.
Yeah.
Shops are doing well now. At least we know a lot of people who have shops who are very, very busy. But yeah, the inflatable thing was just an easy access thing. So it's
Yeah.
exciting. There's new people, but we've
Yeah.
talked quite a bit. I mean, you doing these through now a decade of trash pickups and cleaning up your lake. One thing that I've kind of noticed, wonder if you have, is a lot of them need perhaps education in both the environmental side of things and safety,
Yeah.
because they did it kind of on their own and didn't necessarily take a lesson because maybe the
Right.
lessons weren't open. So I feel like, whew, I've never nicely asked people to turn, or suggested that people turn their paddles around more,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Well, and the other
reminded
side
people.
of it is, I'm involved with Keep Boston Beautiful and I run trash cleanups every other month. Well, we weren't allowed to
Mm,
have trash cleanups because it's a gathering and it's a city gathering. So that got cut off. And then also, the city crews had to limit their time together and on the water. And so it just was a compounded event. So
yeah, but there were more people getting out and more
getting,
people
yeah, and less
possibly
people
littering and
cleaning
less.
it
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
hopefully we'll get that back switched around. So yeah,
Yeah.
pluses and minuses to the last crazy part. But let's back up a ways.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember. I don't know if we were part of groups on Facebook or how some of us who were in early like found each other. I think it was just enthusiasm and posting pictures.
Yeah.
Um, but you and I both share something, and I think we both have raced a lot.
Yes. I love
And
racing.
you said, I always say, I'm not sure, but I think I've probably raced the most in California, and you've probably raced the most in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think part of that comes from passion, and anytime anything's available, we jump in and do it.
Right.
So tell us about racing and how it's progressed. I know, like, we were huge in Southern California, but kind of pre-pandemic had lost a lot of races. Have you seen ups and downs, or has there been slow growth? Are there more? And again, pandemic aside, are there going to be more events again?
Yeah, we're starting to ramp up. We, started off slow and then we got really organized and we had, a Texas paddle racing series, and then that kind of died. And there were still races here and there. And then the pandemic hit. And then luckily and thankfully to all the races that did virtual editions, at least we could still,
Yeah,
get out there and have something to train for, like Chattajack did it, Molokai to Oahu did it. Um, so
that's the
that was
last one
nice.
I did, Paddle Amua.
Oh, cool.
That was
Yeah.
another one virtual, although just like, a lot of them, you want to go to them, and it just makes you stay connected and help when there's a cause. And yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad they did it, but I also just raced in my first full weekend up in Northern California last weekend, and I'm really excited to get back to real
Yes.
races.
Yes. I did
I
too.
was
I went to a race in Montana, the Sup Cup, and it's on the Clark Fork River. And I mean, there were a
great.
lot of people there, but it's cool the way they do it. They have ankle monitors, and as soon as you cross the pad, your time starts. So you're not starting with a group. But
Oh,
the hard
interesting.
part
Yeah.
is you have no idea where you stand until you cross the finish line, and everybody crosses the finish line.
Oh,
So
very interesting. Yeah.
it's a super
Oh,
awesome race.
That's a cool way to do it. Oh, the
Yeah.
Sup Cup in Montana. And what
Yeah.
part of Montana is that in?
It's
Being a
in
huge state.
Missoula on the
Okay.
Clark Fork River, which is it's an open natural river. So there's no dams and there's little rapids. Well,
Oh,
they're not
fun.
really, to me, they're not that little. They're kind of, some of them are kind of scary. But yeah, so me and some of my race team went in 2009 and we won the race, the team competition, and I was second and my boyfriend was second in men's and women's.
2009?
Yeah, no, 2019, sorry.
Okay. I was going to say,
2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing if there was a
Yeah.
Montana race in
Yeah.
2009. I don't think.
And then, so we had to go
Oh,
back this
neat.
year and defend
Yeah.
our title. And I got first, and my boyfriend got first, and our team
There
got
you go.
first. So it was fun. Yeah.
Yay. Congrats,
Yeah.
team. Oh,
Thanks.
that sounds
Yeah.
like an amazing event. You and
Yeah.
I are going to have a little friendly competition together
I'm sure
about,
you'll
because
kill
one of
me.
my goals is racing in lots of different states, and I have
Uh-huh.
not raced in Montana.
Oh, you should go to that one. It is awesome. It is really awesome. But
Neat.
yeah, we also have another downriver race coming up in August, the Sup El Camino Real, which is named after a paddling trail on the lower Colorado River. And that one's super fun.
Cool.
It's like 6.5 miles, tiny, there are some rapids, but
Yeah,
that's
and talk
another great
about,
race.
and where is that relative to you in
It's in
Austin? It's
Bastrop,
like,
so it's a
okay.
little bit south, but maybe like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you paddled in, San Antonio, or are there
I've paddled
races in
in
other parts?
Bernie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie Lake used to have a race, which that one hopefully will come back one of these days. Yeah, Lake Worth, Dallas, Louisville, like pretty much anywhere in Galveston. That's a fun place, but that race kind of tapered off too because that was open ocean, which is kind of hard.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there was a race in Corpus Christi that I'm hoping comes back next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll have to stay in touch with that as we try to regroup and reorganize and really get connected. So maybe we can get that series back in Texas. I know we're
Yeah.
trying to do something in the kind of the Southwest. Northern California seems to have a lot of races, and
Yeah.
certain areas really have kept it together. Like you
Mm-hmm.
probably follow the Midwest Paddle Series,
Right.
and
Yes.
Waterman's and Southern Stoke, and Florida has a couple
Yeah.
stuff happening in
It's
the East
kind of
Coast.
cool
So
though,
it
because,
is.
Montana had a race and then Floribama had a race and you had to kind of choose which one. So it's nice to be like kind of tugged
Yeah.
again,
Again,
like
yes.
which event should I do? Yeah.
Which of these? Yeah. Fun. Well, I'm glad to hear things are coming back. And have you
Yeah.
been a race director yourself? Have you put on a race there?
No. I struggle with that because I would love to put on a race, but I'd also want to race in my race. So
Yep. And you do so many other things and everything with meetups and social things. So your meetup group is part race team, part social racers. Do you kind of have a flow of both?
yeah, we like on my meetup site, I just post like here's a race if you want to go to it. And then, my all my social stuff. Like we have a bunch of fun little events. Like we do a Halloween costume paddle. We have an event in the park called the Trail of Lights that you can drive through and look at all these pretty Christmas lights. Well, we have the Sail of Lights.
Ah,
So
love it.
we light up our boards and things. But then, I have a separate like private Facebook page for the race team and we only talk about racing and who's going and shuttling and lodging and stuff like that. So I kind of keep them
Fun.
separate. Yeah.
Yeah. But that sounds good. I think a lot more people need to learn. I mean, you're modest about these things, but some people are intimidated to start that kind of thing. But it really needs sometimes a leader to start just a group thing and saying, "Hey, let's get together."
Yeah.
So I'd love to see more of that, because you really make it open to all kinds of people, because you don't have to race, or you don't have to be social, or you can do all of these things. And I
Yeah.
think putting a lot of offerings out there is a great thing that you do, and a big service to the people of Austin.
Yeah. And that's probably the thing I love the most about SUP in general is you can make it as easy or as hard as you want. It can be a workout, or one of my favorite things is paddling with a friend and actually having an uninterrupted conversation.
Mm.
There's no phone, there's no laundry, or, you're just out there having a great perfect one-on-one time with somebody, you know.
Yeah.
You can lay
That's a
on your
really,
board, you can have some wine and watch the sunset, you know,
yeah.
or you can be like, let's race to the next bridge, you know.
Yeah.
So,
True on the spectrum of everything from easy to hard, and then like we were talking about travel and you and I love, but maybe people are just super happy to just paddle on that same strip of water, and that's
yeah.
can be meditative and stress relieving, and
Yeah.
that's their thing. So
Yeah.
speaking of like travel and adventure, I mean, we had a little break kind of. You've gotten off to Montana, but
Uh-huh.
you've paddled lots of great places. Are there places you still have on your list that you would love to go and
Ooh.
paddle?
Yes. I would love to paddle in Japan
Ah,
because my
cool.
mom grew up in Japan on she went to high school on this little island called Edejima, and they have some torii gates that you can paddle. So
Cool.
that's totally on my list as soon as that country opens up. My son lives there, so I have a place
Oh,
to stay.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
you have double reason. Oh, that's cool.
Yes. Yes. I would love to paddle New Zealand.
Hmm.
I've been there once. And I, you know, my younger son and I are on a quest to see every national park.
Love
So
it.
I paddle as many national parks as I can that have
Yeah.
water. Yeah.
Or find a pond. There must be some here.
Yeah. Yeah. We were
Yeah.
just in Glacier. You know, we went to Montana, so we hit
Yeah.
some national parks there. And
Beautiful.
yeah, we paddled up on a mountain lake up near
Mm.
Pole Bridge, and it was just freaking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about
Hmm.
inflatables, you
Hmm.
know, and there's so many places that rent, you know, if you don't have your board. So that's cool.
Yep, yep. Both excellent suggestions. What
Yeah.
about types? You were talking about you've done some whitewater, maybe not heavy, but some of your races are in rivers.
Uh huh.
Um, are there any types of stand up you haven't done yet? A super long distance, or we have the winging and the foiling and the surfing and the
Yeah.
or
I've
there's
never
yeah.
done the winging or the foiling. Um, and I've done a little bit of sup surfing, like one of the races in Corpus Christi. You started in the bay and you went down a channel and you had to end like taking a wave
Coming
into the
in.
beach, and that's fun, but you really have to like me, I don't know if everybody, I just have to like be like, okay, calm down. It's just water, you know, back up on your board a little, you know, you got this. I laugh at myself because I talk to myself all the time especially when I'm racing, you know, I get
Nice.
noodle legs at the beginning and I'm just like, get a hold of yourself, you know? So,
I
but
think
I
it's
would like to
healthy.
stuff. I don't know how I would do with foiling. You know, I think I need to kind of get the surfing part down first
Yeah.
because it's a
Well,
lot. It
that's
seems like
hard
it's
when
a
you
lot of leg pumping, you know,
Yeah, although
to keep
I've
it
heard
going.
that the e-foil, the like having the motor
Ah,
on it is kind of a way to start to get used to the feeling of the foil is one of the
yeah,
ways to
yeah.
start.
And there's a guy
Or
that rents
yeah.
e-foils here on the
Oh,
lake.
really? Hmm.
Yeah, so I have to
Yeah,
try it.
I have not tried it either. Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's always more to do, whether it's going to a new place or trying something new. I
yeah.
want to go back though. I'm fascinated with the history mysteries.
Oh,
So let's learn more about Austin. So those are not tied to the water necessarily or at all.
no,
No,
no. But I would
they're
love to do history mysteries about the history of the lake. That's kind of working in my head a little. Yeah, when I started, when I got hooked up with Lee Cook, who was the former mayor of Austin that started Keep Austin Beautiful, and he kind of said, "We're doing this, you know, spotlight series. You know, would you help me work on it?" And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, "Okay, well, we can't meet in person anymore." And I said, "Well, why don't we do something virtual?" You know, and so we started, you know, came up with the name History Mysteries, and we just pick a subject about Austin and we have a little Zoom, you know, an hour of Zoom, and we talk about the last one we did was there's a little pitch and putt, like a golf course, and this guy got murdered in cold blood by a
oh
person in the Johnson administration, and it was, you know, it was really interesting, and you
yeah, that's a
know,
good
so we,
mystery.
you know, so I
Sounds like
my part was like helping write the script and finding all of the historical pictures and running the tech behind the scenes and being a little bit of a host, and it's really fun. It's really
yeah,
interesting.
super
Yeah.
fun. And it's wild that we are being a part of history because this is a new sport and everything. And
Yeah.
maybe in your Lady Bird Lake history,
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
throw in when stand-up paddleboarders first showed
Yeah.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So certain parts of Texas, much more active. I mean, it's a really big state. So I know I'm asking you to cover a lot, but you're in Austin, you love Austin, but are there other groups really strong in certain parts? Of course,
Yeah.
probably where there's more lakes or rivers, but
Yeah, I think the DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth, has a really strong community, and Galveston, the shore has really strong community. But I would say Austin, Dallas Fort Worth, and Galveston are probably the top three places.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone were to come to Texas and want to paddle, those would be good places to start.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about getting connected on Facebook, like I think that's probably the coolest thing about the world these days is I have, you're friends with people on Facebook and they're like, "Hey, I'm coming through Austin." I'm like, "Let's go paddle. I
I
have
did that
plenty
to
of
you.
boards, and if I don't have enough, I know friends that do." Like seriously, if you're traveling anywhere and you were friends with somebody on Facebook, reach out to them and
Yeah.
see what you
Or
can
just I
do.
see lots of posts like I'm going to this place. Can anybody recommend? Like either where I can rent, where I can launch, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super helpful and friendly community. And I
Oh,
know you have
absolutely.
done that so much for me. So back to racing.
Okay.
Has it been mostly in Texas? Have you ventured out? Montana, obviously. I'm
Yes.
impressed.
And
That's a trek.
yeah,
Any other
Chattajack,
states?
the
Chattajack.
Tennessee. That's probably that is my longest race.
Mine too.
Yeah.
That
And,
was a biggie.
yeah, I did it in 2019 and then, I was ready to go in 2020, but they weren't doing it. So
Yeah.
we're doing it in 2021.
Good for
So
you.
yeah.
So
But that's another place where you meet a
are they
million
giving you a
people.
break on the belt buckle progression since there
Yes.
wasn't one? Okay,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
only fair because I know they
Yeah.
were pretty hardcore about it had to be 5 years in a row. And if
Yeah.
you guys listening don't know, this race has a very special, boy, it's a driving force for a lot, I think.
Yeah.
That if you do it 5 years in a row, you get a belt buckle for Chattajack, and that's 32 miles down the
Yeah.
Tennessee River. I think they say
Yep.
31, but
It's really 32.
32.
Yeah. It is
It
really
really is. Yeah, it
32.
really is 32. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a really special one. So I'm so glad. I mean, it's got to be hard for the race directors and people who put them on who to have weathered what we just went through and to have
Hmm.
had to skip a year. And like you said, kudos to those that put out the whole virtual thing. And if you didn't, we understand, but we hope you'll come back. And I
Yeah.
even hope I think you saw a decrease like we did, more like 2016 and 17. We were losing some races, but
Hmm.
I'm hoping there's a new energy. I know I'm excited about like getting back to all of this that brings back some races or some new ones starting. But it's hard. I'm asking if you're a race director just because I've been having conversations lately. It's hard. And
It
especially early on, and
is.
people will talk about, oh, but this one's only $30. Well, that's if they didn't have to pay for access and they didn't have to pay for safety. But, certain
Right.
situations are really set up for it. And thank you to those people who do it. But it can easily cost just to cover costs. And then so many race directors lose money. And that's part of the reason you can only stick with the passion for so long,
Right.
and do it just out of the goodness of your heart, especially if it's coming out of your own bank account.
Yeah.
And personally, I would love to see a race director be able to make a little money so they can like build it and keep it going. And, it benefits us all. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
that's why, my number one thing when I'm trying to promote a race for a friend, it's like sign up early,
Mm.
please. Put your name, pay your money,
Yes.
sign up early because
Yeah.
all the people that sign up like the day before, the day of, like all of that money could have been used to cover their costs, but they're like,
Yeah.
am I going to make, am I going to make my budget? Like, just if you know you're going to do it, just sign up.
And my
you
friends who
know
are listening, I did not pay her to say that because I do the same thing. It's like, how can you expect them to have lunch and t-shirt for you when you didn't tell? Like we have morning of signups for some,
Yeah.
and they said, well, it depends on the conditions. I'm like, yeah, but you're supposed to be into this enough that that's just part of what grows you. Love
Yeah.
the conditions. I think is that a Larry Kane saying, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you should sign up in advance.
Right. Yeah.
It helps keep races going.
Right. And that's why I think I race so much, is because I want to have races to attend. And if
Yeah.
people don't go to them, then the race director's not going to do it
Yeah.
next year.
And you got it on the calendar and it's something to
Yeah.
look forward to. I think it's kind of like just regular travel. I love the build up and the anticipation and the planning and everything. And so if it's just last minute, I don't know, I think you miss out on a piece of it, but maybe
Yeah.
that's a personality type thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So how about some tips? You've been at this for a while. And again, I don't know where to start. I think, equipment, you use all different types for different things that you do. You want to share any, favorite boards, paddles, accessories?
Yeah. I mean, the first things that come to mind are my race boards. And, my absolute favorite race board of all time was my Kings. And I say was because it got damaged when it was getting repaired one time, which
Oh,
broke my heart.
yeah.
But
So that's for those of you who don't know, it's a custom board company in
yeah.
Southern California. So did you come out here and plan that with Dave
No,
Don, or
I
did you do it
actually
over the?
got it like fourth hand.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it was a Terry Plunkett board.
oh, okay.
And then my friend Lori bought it from Paddle Zen, and then another friend bought it, and then I bought it from her.
Oh, I love that.
So it was a hand-me-down, which,
Okay.
that's kind of one of my tips is to, and when somebody's like first starting to race, I totally recommend buying a used race board.
Yeah, because you don't know exactly what you want,
You,
right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't know what works for you and what doesn't, but
Mm.
spend a little money on your paddle because
Mm.
you don't want to be out there with like a 20-pound paddle, like spend some money on a good light paddle. But yeah, my favorite board of all time has been a Kings, which I will replace one of these days. And the ones I paddle now are Barks. I have a 1424 custom, and then a Dominator, which is a 26. And those are both great boards. And then
Awesome.
paddles. My favorite paddle right now is my Black Project Hydro X. I love everything about that paddle. And Chris, who is, I don't know if he owns the company, but he's the guy that I talk to. He's like so nice.
Yeah,
So nice.
he's the
Like,
guy. So yeah, I think he's owner and builder and everything.
yeah. I mean,
At least I
he
haven't
goes
met
up.
anybody else. He's a busy
Yeah.
guy too.
Yeah. And he has impeccable customer service. Like he will
Great.
spend time with you, and yeah, he's great. And then I also like Kinalu paddles. Those, I think I have 3 of those. Yeah. But, and then,
Awesome.
like planing boards, pretty much anybody, there's so many out there on Craigslist or Marketplace or what, find a good one and buy one, whatever you can
And
afford.
then, yeah, you
So
mentioned inflatables. Is that more for travel? Is you use it on rivers? Because you have some rivers with rocks and such.
yeah, I have 2 inflatables. One's a really old Shubu, show up and blow up. And then I have one from Pulse Sup. But my next board purchase will more than likely be a race inflatable. So
Yeah, that's fun. I wonder if they're
but
going to
I
start
haven't
doing that
decided
more and having
who's
more
yet.
category. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, I know Infinity Sup has a new one, and Red Paddle are really
Starboard.
good.
Yeah.
So Starboard has one. Yeah. Yeah. But they're hard to find.
Yeah.
They're usually sold
I have a
out.
14-foot red that has, the stiffening bar on the top and the things on the side, and it's narrower. That back when, I couldn't find. There aren't very many of them, and I think it's a direction they might
Yeah.
consider going because there's only so much variety within the inflatable market, but that's something that they could do, and I haven't seen that many specialty boards. That would be cool.
Yeah.
How about just for someone getting into
Yeah.
stand-up? Because you meet all kinds of people who are just getting going. So how about let's just get back to those basic tips because we have all kinds of people who listen to this. Getting started stand-up paddling. What are a few tips or things to avoid either way?
Yeah. I mean, get a used board if you're going to spend, if you, get a good paddle. Try before you buy, like join a group, see if you can like try out other people's boards, get on a group on Facebook or Meetup or whatever, like sometimes we have board swaps, like a potluck and a board swap, and everybody can just try everybody's board.
And that's a good idea. I've heard that one. I like that. Because sometimes there aren't demos. Like people would like to demo boards, but they don't have a store near them, or the brands, only can do that in so many places. So it's not always, so find your local group and do, and people are friendly.
Or just if you're renting, just, I haven't really ever met a grouch on the water. Like just paddle up to them and go, hey, that's a cool board. Can I try it? I mean, one of my favorite people in the world, I call her my sup cuz. Me and my friend were in the lagoon and Lady Bird Lake, and here she comes, and she's like, hey, what are y'all doing? Hey, are those race boards? Hey, can I try them? And we let her try it. We got friends on Facebook, and we've been friends ever since. And she lives in Massachusetts. So yeah, it was awesome. And now she's going to be in Chattajack this year. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's so,
that's great.
I love our community.
Yeah.
But probably one of the other tips I have is, if you want to get into racing or improve your stroke or your paddle or whatever, watch some videos, watch other people, but you don't have to do what they do. Like you have to do what's best for you and your body and your board and your height and your weight. So many people are like, you're paddling wrong. And I'm like, no, I'm paddling the way I paddle. That's what works for me. So
yeah, I just took a clinic, and people are like, you've been paddling for a dozen years almost. I said, oh, there's always more to learn. Exactly. And I kind of consider it in racing, especially, my bag of tricks. Like, especially as I get older, if I'm in an event and something's not working quite right, a shoulder, I have different stroke technique that I can switch to see if it works better for that part. And again, different strokes for different folks, but I love hearing an explanation different because it comes out of different people's mouths differently. Like, oh, wow, I never thought about it that way. Yeah. That really, I can envision that.
Yeah.
So I think just we're always learning. I don't think this, we're still young. They haven't perfected stroke technique, but also so true that don't think you have to look exactly like Connor Baxter. And you don't have to, it's great to watch the videos and try to do and listen to him because he's a great teacher, but it may or may not work for you or not work for you all the time. And he'll be one to say, like, he switches up his stroke and has changed it over time.
Yeah. And I think it's great to have like your bag of tricks like for a long paddle like Chattajack. Like I can't paddle the exact same way for 32 miles. I have to use my core, then I have to use my arms a little, and then twist. You have to kind of give parts of your body a break.
Well, that's a funny one. I was a bit in pain the last 8 miles, and I was doing some weird stroke techniques that I have been holding, hands upside down and stuff just to kind of try to stretch out some areas and still paddle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I came up with some special Chattajack techniques.
Well, I remember when I first started paddleboarding, like the paddle length was super long, and then everybody's shoulders started going out, so they got a little shorter. And then Connor came up with, I don't know if Connor came up with it, but he started paddling with like not on the top, on the side. Yeah. And that was a thing for a while. And you just got to, do what's right for you.
Yeah. And mix it up. And it's fun to keep learning. I love the community, and I like that's one that but I live probably in an area where I get to see kind of more people passing through, giving clinics and stuff. So I love to see that some people are out. Oh. Did I cut out for a second?
Yeah, just for a sec, yeah.
Telephones.
But I do like what you said. Like I take clinics still, and I kind of take them for two reasons, like to learn something, but you also meet a lot of cool people at clinics.
Yes.
So.
Well, and that's again, so much about community, whether it's a meetup, but for racing, destinations and people and the actual race. I'm not just about racing. It's the competitive part I do enjoy, and it's really fun. And, but it was so great again, to have this weekend and catch up with these Northern California people, and some of my SoCal people came up, and it was just wonderful to hang out besides just some great racing too, and racing in person. I did find out through virtual racing that racing by yourself is I'm not that much of a time trial person.
Yeah. Well,
I like having other people around.
Yeah. When Chattajack went virtual, I organized a little, like it was called Chatta JTX,
Love
like
it.
Chatta ATX. And so
Uh-huh.
like five of us, or yeah, it was five. You know, we were socially distanced, we wore masks when we were together, but we did it all the same day. I mapped out courses for the half a jack and the chatta jack, and we all did it. And I got little mugs,
That's
little
awesome.
pint glasses
Yeah.
that say ATX, because we normally get our pint glass at Chatta Jack. So I try to make it like kind of Chatta Jack
Oh,
ish.
that's
So it was
fantastic.
still fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we did some of that too. Definitely had these kind of unofficial race meetups. We started to, as things
Yeah.
got along, and it's like, yeah, we can start,
Yeah.
cautiously meeting up with smaller groups, even though this isn't official.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I liked what you were talking about, like, going to races and, having the community and not so competitive. Like, that's one thing I love about our SUP community. I feel like it's community over competition. Like,
Hmm.
you can be competitive, but it's not like, I hate you, I'm going to beat you. It's just like,
I,
hey, great race, you beat me. I'll get you
yeah.
next time,
Yeah. Hmm.
So I think that's
Do
cool.
love that. Yeah. And along that line, we were talking about like maybe races should be just called events, especially as we try to get to convert some of these new people on the inflatables. Hopefully they love stand-up paddling and we can get them into the other niche kind of areas like racing.
Yeah.
But there are great events and causes, like your trash picks up and stuff are such a big part of our community. I'm trying to remember Tyler's Damn Cancer or something.
Damn that cancer. Yeah. I
Yeah,
did
that
that.
one's been around for a long time and I've never
Yes.
done it, but they've kept going.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And that's an event more than a race, right? Everybody
It's
goes
definitely
downriver
an
together.
event. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 21 miles. And they've had to change it up, because of COVID. They have different launch groups where it's like 10 people at a time instead of like 125 all at the same time on the
Hmm.
water. Different staged lunches because we used to gather all at the same place and have lunch and then get back on the water. And then we had an after party. So
That sounds
they've,
like a great one. What part of Texas is that in?
it's in Austin. It's on
Oh, cool.
Lake Austin, which is above Lady Bird Lake. Yeah, but that is an amazing event. Mark Garza runs it. He's so awesome. And then we also have another one coming up in September that Cindy Present puts on, and it's called the stand up. It's called the Get Out Girl Paddle Jam, and it's
Oh,
women
fun.
only,
Uh-huh.
and it's an 11 mile out and back, but you can choose to just do whatever works for you. Like you can stop at buoy 2 and come back or whatever, and then they have an auction at the end. But it raises money for first responders
Oh, neat.
because one of Cindy's best friends, Krista McLean, was a life flight, uh, I don't know, person,
Hmm.
like nurse or whatever, and she passed away on a mission. And then
Wow.
another woman, Jessica Hollis, drowned during a flood. She was a policewoman. So their foundation benefits first responders
Oh,
and their
that's
mental
neat.
health.
Wow. Yeah. And that has
So
been a big and important topic. A
yes.
lot going on with those. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Those are
Yeah.
two events. Yeah, I'd kind of forgot about the Mark Garza's, but that has been around for that's one of the most long running Texas events, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Because
it
I feel
started
like it
in 2010. Yeah.
sounds right. I know a couple people from California have been
Yeah.
out to that. That was on my very long list of
Yeah. Like
places and events I want to do.
yeah. I think Archie Kalepa came one time, Danny
Mm,
Ching. I can't remember if Annabelle Anderson came for Damn That Cancer, but she came through Austin.
yeah.
So,
Mandy
yeah.
McDonald is my friend who did it
Oh,
ages
yeah.
ago. Do you remember
I know
her?
Mandy. Yeah. Yeah.
She's busy, got 3 kids now.
I
Sometimes a
know.
lot changes over a decade.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I feel like I haven't, but it's where I am in life. I like
Yeah.
to think I haven't changed too much because I don't want to admit how old I'm getting.
Yeah.
So, Texas trash pickups, meetups, races are starting again. Love to hear that. Glad that you're well. That's cool. The national parks with the youngest son, and I
Yeah.
hope you get to Japan. I hadn't thought about Japan, but I have seen footage. I think it was the ISA had the race that was on an island, also off of Japan. It was beautiful and tropical.
Yeah.
It's like wow. But I love that idea of. Did you say there's like arches you could paddle through
Yeah.
where
They're
your
the,
mom's like,
the red they're like
Yeah.
two poles and then they have like two arches at the top. They're called Tory arches. So,
So that would just be so iconic. I
oh
love that.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you
Yeah.
should make it like a expedition tour and invite
Yeah.
people and lead a
Yeah.
group so I
Yeah.
can
And
go too.
yeah, I have a friend, Dan, who has a hacienda in this little town called Chicala in Mexico. And we
Neat.
did do a little like kind of sup excursion there to his house, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
I'm
trying
doing
to like start, maybe organizing some little ventures out for special groups.
very fun. Good.
Yeah.
Well, continue to keep us up to date about everything you're doing. You're such a wonderful person, ambassador for our
Thank
sport, and
you.
just human. Love all that you've done, and congrats on your Texas State Award. I guess that was a little ways back, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
the Austin history
2015.
was 2020.
Yeah.
That one
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's great.
It was
Yeah.
a surprise. I wasn't expecting it, but
Oh, neat.
happy to have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
wonderful all you do for our sport and for Austin. And we'll
thanks.
say for Texas in general, because it's
Yeah.
all spread the love.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
again, you have Austin Surf Betty as your Instagram handle. And I think you have a Facebook page too.
Uh-huh.
So if people want to follow you, and again, so generous of you. But if you're ever passing through Austin, you need to look her up because
Yes.
that's a
I'll
wonderful
go paddle with you. I'll
paddle.
bring you aboard.
Wow, so nice. That's so nice.
Yep.
Again, you guys, it gets recorded, and so if anybody missed it, please send them to SupConnects. Well, immediately on IGTV, and then it will end up on YouTube, SupConnect, and KT Outside. And it was just so great to see your face,
It was
looking
awesome talking to
lovely.
you.
Yeah,
Oh,
great to
thanks.
catch up,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully our paths cross
I
somewhere
hope so.
soon as we come out of this. Take care, my friend.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye.